Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday morning, feeling energized, feeling ready to go for the week, and really ready to just tackle everything and say yes to a whole bunch of things that might be scaring you or sort of tripped you up along the way. I'm Heather Arthur. Today I am coming to you live. John is actually on a plane coming home to Canada from Portugal, so he will not be joining us today, but he will be here on Wednesday and on Friday. So let's get started. I would love to hear how your weekend was. If anyone's online, hi, Archie, if I see you there. What did you do this weekend that scared you just a little bit? And, that is a question that is so important because oftentimes time just disappears on us. And for me, I actually had an opportunity on Friday to speak at a women's leadership conference, and I'd love to share with you some of the insights that I learned at this conference, and also a little bit of what I shared because I shared 3 steps to expand your comfort zone. So I'll share what I shared in a little bit, but first I want to jump into what I got out of the conference. And this conference was run by my girlfriend Christina Cleary, and she runs a company called Excel, and it supports women in leadership and elevating them to the highest level. And so the leaders that she had speaking at this conference was fantastic, and you can actually go check it out, www.accelle.com. And she has events coming up all the time. But we spent some time talking about a topic that's sometimes taboo to talk about in corporate settings, and that was the concept of mansplaining. And mansplaining, like, does everyone know what that is? Mansplaining is when a woman speaks up and then a man also speaks up and says that, explains to the woman or explains to everyone what the woman just said. And if you talk to any woman in a corporate setting, that is, really anyone in a corporate setting, this has happened to them. And the fact that we are having these conversations and they're kind of taboo conversations is, first of all, one thing that's a problem. And the second thing is that so many women have had this experience and they didn't know what to do with it. So, Christina had an ally, a male ally on there to talk about what he can do to help in those situations, but also to talk to women about what they can do in those situations. And it's really important that when women speak up or they have ideas, that they feel supported at the boardroom table. There's another term, and oh my god, he's-splaining is another one where a woman brings an idea up and it kind of falls flat. But then a few minutes later at the same meeting, a male person brings that same idea up and it's a really good idea, or it's accepted a little bit more. And if you're a woman in the workplace, you've also either seen this happen or had this happen to you. And that was a new term for me. I'd never heard it, although I've experienced it myself. So it was really neat to see the conversation opening up, but it was also neat to see that it's all of us working together. It's collaboration and awareness of things that are happening in the workplace that may not make people feel connected to the bigger purpose or the team. And all of us, male, female, whatever your background is, can help in that way. So that's the invitation that I have for you, and that's the sort of aha moment that I took away from that. So let me tell you what I shared. I got to do a quick little summary of 3 ways to expand your comfort zone. And the first question I asked the audience, and I'll ask all of you the same question, is how many of you know that you could do more in life and at work? Think about that. How many of you know that you can do more at life and at work? And I love, love, love this question because the answer is always the same. And in fact, when I do this with a live audience, people put their hands up and I joke. I said, it's okay if your boss is sitting beside you, their hand is up too. And the reason for that is, we are all humans. And as human beings, we want to continue to grow. If we're living, we're growing. If we're living, we're growing. And so the the concept of can you do more is so important because this is our day one. Right now is our day one for the choices that we're going to make for who we're going to be as a leader tomorrow. And I love January as a moment in time because this is that moment that we actually have an entire calendar year in front of us that we can make those choices. And it feels like a big runway for achieving our goals, but in fact, it goes very, very quickly. So, think about what it is in your life that you'd like to change, that you'd like to evolve to, that you'd like to learn and grow in. And then what do you do next? And the thing that often trips us up, like, just we get in our own heads and we have fears, and we have fears that sort of limit us, but really these fears are just a way to try to keep us safe. Our brain does this crazy thing. It tries to keep us safe. So, what are some common fears that people have? And you might have had these fears yourself, fear of being judged, fear of failure, fear of success. Oftentimes we're afraid that what happens if we're successful? What has to change in our life? Our internal dialogue, the words we say in our head, oh my God, I get in my head sometimes too. It's amazing what our brains will tell us that are just not true. Things like, oh, you're not young enough, you're not old enough, you're not smart enough, you didn't finish college or university, or you don't have a degree, you don't have 100% of the attributes for that job to apply for. And all of these things are not true. I am on a learning path that is not a school learning path right now. I think it's the school of YouTube, and I am probably watching 3 or 4 YouTube videos a day to learn how to do things that are digital online presence types of things. And I'm learning from 24-year-olds that probably haven't even finished school, but they know these things. So I'm just using that example to tell you that this is all in your head, the stuff our internal dialogue says. So that's not true either. And then sometimes our environment isn't as positive as it needs to be. We might not have a coach, we might not have a mentor, we might not have a supportive boss. And all of these attributes can really limit our ability to take the action, take that step, and get out of our comfort zone. But there's another thing that gets in our way, and me and John have talked about this, but it's something that I think is really, really important. We think we need to know how. We think we need to have all the answers, or 90% of the answers, before we can take action. And in fact, we have to reverse engineer that model. And I invite you to really think about this in your life right now. Instead of focusing on the how, focus on taking action, and focus on who. What do I mean by focus on who? Who has already done the things that you're looking to do? Follow their footsteps, follow their pattern. They reach out to them. And even if you don't know them, maybe it's someone online that you're like, oh, I really like how they present themselves. I really like their digital assets. I really like, how they lead and command a presence. Reach out to them. I guarantee you, if you reach out and tell them what it is that you admire about them, and you'd love just 10 or 15 minutes with them to sort of uncover and ask some curious questions about that, they will answer you. I answer those all the time. And it is amazing to see people, be scared to reach out. And if they don't answer you, that's okay. There's someone else out there that you can reach out to. So that is, focusing on who, not how. And that is so important, because the actions we take are what's going to drive us to the next level. Now, I also shared 3 steps on how to expand your comfort zone. And I'm going to share those 3 steps with you now, because they're really, 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 really easy. But oftentimes the easy stuff is actually the hardest stuff. So easy to say these things, but not so easy to implement. So the first step to expand your comfort zone is this. It's to visualize. And, visualize what? Visualize who we want to be when we grow up, who we want to be as our future leader self. And the brain has this really cool thing. Because it sees things in images, it doesn't know the difference between reality and daydreaming. So it's creating all these images in our head, and it's helping us formulate a path to get there. Remember, I said don't focus on how, just visualize the end result. Oftentimes I coach, I remember coaching 2 women that were going to do their first marathon. And I am not a runner, but I can coach people to achieve their own goals. And so what I said to these women, I said, tell me what you're afraid of. And Gunjan, good morning. I see you there. I said to these women, tell me what you're thinking of when you're thinking about running this marathon. And what they said was they were thinking about how tired they're going to feel. What if they don't make it? How embarrassed they're going to feel. Are they ready yet? And all of these fears were coming up. And I said, have you ever thought about what it's going to feel like when you get to the end? And in their minds, they hadn't dreamed that far. They hadn't visualized that far. They'd visualized sort of halfway mark, maybe three-quarters mark, and how tired they were going to feel. So we did some visualization techniques so that they were actually going over the finish line. And that feeling of going over the finish line is what we activated. So, I asked them, where in their body do they feel that feeling? Who's around them cheering them on, and their families, and what is it that they're telling themselves as they cross that finish line? So what's the words and the internal dialogue that's going on? And activating those three modalities, how are you going to feel? What are you going to see? What are you going to hear and say to yourself? Helped them, and this is a really important process for any goal that you want to achieve, is to activate how you're going to feel after you've achieved it, not how you're going to feel while you're doing it, because doing it is still in the I'm not sure how, and you'll activate the fears. But at the finish line of the marathon or the finish line of whatever your goal is. And this is so, so powerful to visualize getting it done and visualizing feeling the emotions, because our brain can activate emotions to our daydreams. So we can think of anything right now. Just think of something that makes you happy, and you'll feel it in your body. Think of something that makes you a little bit sad, and you can feel that in your body. So, remember that our brains can activate emotions even for a visualization. So the first step is to visualize our goals, visualize, and not just like think about it, write it down. Get your colored markers out, write it down, do mind maps, write down your goals, write down who you want to be, write down who it will impact if you achieve those goals. And this isn't like a little baby goal. This is like, who do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? And something that scares you a little bit. And I actually shared on this on I think it was Friday, whenever I shared it, that I want to write a book. And that's, lots of people have written a book, but I have not. And it scares me a little bit to put words on paper and to be vulnerable with my thoughts and my feelings. Even though I do this live show, writing a book is a little bit different than just talking about what's going on in my life right now. And so it scares me a little bit. But so visualize this step one. But we know that we can't get any results in life unless we do something about them. So the second step for expanding your comfort zone is to take action. And what does take action means? It means doing something that's towards that goal. So I actually have in my to-do list or my action list every day 30 minutes towards my bigger goal. And it's 30 minutes so that it's a really tiny baby step, just a little tiny baby step towards that goal. And it's something I can do every day, so every 24 hours. And what that does is it allows me to stack 30 in a month, 30 examples of why I can achieve that goal, instead of, and that if I have 30 examples of why I can achieve that goal, it means there's a lot less reasons why I can't. And so I chunk down the action items into small bite-sized pieces, just baby steps towards that goal. And even if I don't know how I'm going to get there, I know that if I take those steps every single day, then I will continue to stack those up. And, if it's a whole year that I'm working on a goal, that's 365 reasons why I can achieve that goal. And when you do this, what happens is people show up. People, processes, and the how shows up for you. So, on Friday, I was sharing, I want to write a book, and a friend of mine, David, jumped in. He said, I can help you. So, the more you talk about the things that scare you, the more you talk about your vision and your goals, the more people will jump in and say, you know what, I know someone, let me introduce you, or you know what, how can I be supportive of you? So that's a really, really good action to take. And then the last thing, the last action to expand your comfort zone, which I've sort of just alluded to it, which is connect. So step 3 is connect. And connect means connect with people that have maybe already done what you want to do. Connect with people that are going to be your cheerleaders for what you want to accomplish, and connect with people that are like-minded or maybe want to do the same things. there's lots of communities out on Facebook that I'm now finding that want to write a book. So, okay, let me join these communities and see how I can be supportive to others and see how they can support me. So that connection is so important. You guys, for our listeners that come join all the time, Gunjan, Archif, Felicia, if you're out there, we see you and we hear you, and we're creating a community where we're going to do things that scare us together. We're going to say yes to those things that scare us just a little bit. And I think that's just amazing. So, think about those 3 steps: visualize, take action, and connect. When you break it down into 3 steps like that, it's pretty easy. Again, easy to say, not so easy to do. And, we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice. Is this goal, is this reason, is this thing that we're going after, is it big enough to allow our heart to go after it? Is it big enough for us to stay on point? Is it big enough to get past our own fears? And is it big enough that we're going to, invite others to join us? And when the answer to that is yes, even when you have those fears like, you're not good enough, or, what if I succeed? What if I fail? Or the environment maybe not supportive to you, you're going to find a way. You're going to find a way to make it happen, because that future you that looks and sounds like you, but it's a little bit older and a little bit wiser, is actually in the future cheering you on, sending you messages from the future saying, you've already done this, Heather. You've already done this, Gunjan. You've already done this, Archif. And you've done this. And I know that when you get here, it's going to be amazing. So step up to the leader that you are today and make it happen. Oh, Felicia, I love that. Creative Writers Guild Toastmasters can help. I love it. You guys are writing a book together. Oh my God, I need to know more. So I love the anthology idea. And actually, I'm thinking about an anthology book for the travel group that I'm with, because we go on some crazy trips. But Felicia, maybe I'll reach out to you on LinkedIn. And if I reach out, of course, I'm taking one of those steps, right? I've visualized what I want to do. I've taken a baby step, which is sharing that with you guys here today. And then I'm going to connect with Felicia. So, nothing like following your own advice that you put out, and doing it right live with everyone watching, because anything that I share is stuff that I actually do in my life, that I actually teach in my leadership courses, and teach with my coaching clients, and it works. As a neurolinguistics programming coach, this is simple stuff, but when you activate your body, your mind, and your intentions, it is fantastic what can happen. So that is perfect to see that come together live. And in fact, I've been toying with AI technology. I don't know if any of you guys have been seeing, the Chat GPT and all of the new technology that's coming with the AI, and that's part of my YouTube videos that I've been watching just so that I can keep up. And what I've learned is maybe writing a children's book is going to be easier than I thought, because I can use AI technology to help me illustrate it, because I'm not a drawer. So that's actually on my to-do list this week, to try it on and see how I can illustrate a children's book. And I actually wrote some rhymes down because I was in the shower and these rhymes were coming in my head. So we'll see where that leads, and I'll keep giving you guys updates on how things are progressing with my book writing skills, and what I'm learning. So it's going to be pretty awesome. So this week is going to be an awesome week, and it's going to be an awesome week because we're choosing for it to be amazing. So think about what your word is that was for the whole year, whether it was abundance or courage or strength. And in fact, I've got all of them written down somewhere. I don't have them right in front of me, but whatever your word was, how is that going to show up for you this week? How are you going to show up for others using that word as an influencer? And for me, mine is strength, and that's both physical strength and mental strength. And so I'm going to show up with strength, but I'm also going to borrow Felicia's word, I think, which is courage, and have the courage to, do more of these types of videos by myself, because me and John, we work really good together, but when he's flying, he can't be on the LinkedIn Live. So that was my courage for today. And then, of course, abundance. And I believe that, and that's John's word. So I'm going to activate abundance for my week this week. And right now, I have an abundance of snow to go shovel. So I will enjoy that much of abundance because it's actually really beautiful. But abundance is going to show up for me in some other cool ways. So with that, I invite you to think of your word for the year. How would you like it to show up this week? Write it down, put it on a piece of paper right by your computer so you see it all day, and let's share how that shows up for each of us. So go out there with your word, whether it be abundance, courage, strength, positivity, all of the things that are going to activate your best life. I'm Heather Arthur. This has been an amazing session. I'll see you all again on Wednesday. If this resonated with you, please share the link with any friends. Invite them to come join us. But of course, if you miss us, we are also on any of the podcasts. So wherever you listen to your podcast, it's the Say Yes Movement podcast. And we are dropping a masterclass starting in February. So we will send out that link as soon as John lands back in Canada. So it'll be later on today because we want you all to be on the full 1 hour masterclass as well. And we picked Groundhog Day to do it on because we want to talk about how sometimes our patterns are getting in the way and we're repeating them and they're getting in the way. And no better day to do that than Groundhog Day. So join us February 2nd. Put that in your calendar for 12 noon. And thank you so much for those that have joined today. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye, everyone.